Wherefore let every man beware lest he do that which is not in truth and righteousness before me. And now come, saith the Lord, by the Spirit, unto the elders of his church, and let us reason together, that ye may understand. Let us reason even as a man reasoneth one with another face to face. Now, when a man reasoneth, he is understood of man, because he reasoneth as a man. Even so will I, the Lord, reason with you, that you may understand. So, let's reason about a citizen's duty to practice civility. Who are you, and why are you talking to me about a citizen's duty to practice civility? My name is Warren Rogers. I do not have the authority to speak as a representative of God or of any church. I am your fellow citizen. What I say is my opinion only. But if you live in Utah Senate District 24, my opinions should matter to you because when you vote in the November 2020 general election, you will see a choice on your ballot that looks approximately like this. My opinions on matters of public policy are influenced by my religious beliefs. If my opinions are more correct than those of your other option, then support me. If his opinions are more correct than mine, then support him. Notice that the Democratic Party does not have a 2020 candidate for this office. If you usually vote Democratic, please think this time about your second choice, because there is no Democratic option. If you usually vote Republican to defeat the Democrat, please think this time because that strategy does not apply when there is no Democrat for you to defeat. In this huge country, all 8 citizens have gathered to debate an important policy issue. Thank you for selecting me to conduct the meeting. One of my duties is to help us have a civil debate. After we listen to both points of view, everyone will vote. The proponent, the debater in favor, will state the proposition. We should continue to build aircraft carriers. No, instead we should. You are a bad person. If he were a bad person, how would that show that we should build aircraft carriers? Being bad causes a person to choose the wrong side of each issue. Since he opposes building aircraft carriers, we know that we should build aircraft carriers. Let's suppose 3 things. That I were a bad person. All we citizens were in a boat crossing a large body of water, and you said it is right that we all reach our destination safely. Since in this hypothetical situation I am a bad person, would I say, no, it is right that the boat sink and we all drown? No, even if you were a bad person, most likely you would not want to lose your own life. Then we cannot rely on a bad person taking the wrong stand every time. Therefore, we cannot rely on a position being correct just because a bad person opposes it. There is another problem with your accusation that your fellow citizen is a bad person. You have presented no evidence to support the accusation. Do you expect us to assume that any accusation must be true? We know that he is a bad person because he opposes aircraft carriers. Only a bad person would do that. We would agree with that only if we were willing to make the following assumptions. Building aircraft carriers is a good idea, and a person who opposes something good is a bad person. The first assumption is what the current debate is all about. If we all agreed on this assumption to begin with, then we would never have started this debate. An argument that is reasonable in this debate needs to have aircraft carriers are good as its conclusion, not as a starting assumption or premise. As for the second assumption, If it were true, then no good person would ever make an error. Do you expect us to believe that a good person cannot be on the wrong side of any issue, even by mistake? You are supposed to be a neutral referee. Your duty is to enforce the rules evenly, but you are acting instead as if you were my opponent. Civility is a rule in a civilized debate. I am showing you why. I am showing you why attacking the character or competence of your opponent cannot prove that your stand on the issue being debated is correct. Why should accusations be allowed when they will certainly fail to prove a point that a debater needs to prove? May I speak as a proponent of the proposition that we should continue to build aircraft carriers? I have something civil and convincing to say. Will you please trade places with the current proponent? Here is a study showing that, considering both peacetime and wartime, the Navy faces a wide variety of situations. That being the case, we need warships with great versatility. Aircraft carriers have demonstrated more versatility than any other type of warship that we can build. Therefore, aircraft carriers are the ships that we should build. No, instead of sending an airplane to engage targets at a distance from our ship, we should send a missile. A missile-armed ship with its full load of missiles would cost only about 1/6 as much as an aircraft carrier with its full load of aircraft. Even if one aircraft carrier is more combat effective than one missile ship, one carrier will surely not be more combat effective than 6 missile ships. Thus, assuming that we keep the same budget, the missile ships and their missiles offer more warfighting capability. This example debate is not wholly imaginary. I once saw a video on YouTube, I think it was, that showed 2 experienced U.S. naval officers debating this very proposition about aircraft carriers. I made this video partly as a tribute to the praiseworthy example of these men in uniform. Neither officer ever accused the other of lying or being dishonest. Neither officer ever accused the other of being disloyal or corrupt. Neither officer ever accused the other of being foolish or selfish. There were no personal attacks and no personal labeling of any kind. Instead, each officer stated the merits of his own proposal and presented his supporting evidence. You and I can both follow the praiseworthy example of these naval officers whose names I regrettably do not remember. We can and should argue the merits of our positions without engaging in personal attacks on those who disagree with us. If I agree that I should learn civility so that I can be a better citizen, how would I do that? Ask yourself, how do I know that my stand is correct? When you have decided how you know that your stand is correct, then tell others how you know that. Tell others what the evidence is that convinced you. In the aircraft carrier example above, at the end, when both sides behaved properly, they both presented the evidence that they had. What if I still feel that I need to mention someone who disagrees with me? Does truth depend on opposition? It is common for a stand to be correct despite someone's opposition, but I have never heard of a stand being correct because of someone's opposition. So if someone's opposition is not what makes a stand correct, why would an advocate for a stand need to mention someone who disagrees? So civility is nice, but why is it my civic duty? One reason civility is our civic duty is because it leaves us only 2 options. Not take a stand that we are considering, or search for supporting evidence. If we search for supporting evidence but find none, That is a great warning that we should not take the stand that we are considering. Let us remember the verse of Scripture with which this video began. Wherefore, let every man beware lest he do that which is not in truth and righteousness before me. Please remember that most offices are low profile compared to President of the United States or even Governor of our state. For lower profile offices, the most important reason why your fellow citizens, your peers, vote for the wrong candidate, or not vote at all, is that they do not know who the candidates are and what the candidates stand for. Your peers, your fellow citizens, need your help to learn what the media will not tell them. Will you please like, share, and subscribe? I will put a link in the description below this video. Please send it to each person you know and recommend that he watch this video.